Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night. I appreciate all of you. I thank God for this great opportunity that God has given us once again. I give glory to God for today, being a very unique day, a powerful day for us to testify, for us to rejoice and learn one or two things. You can see today we are going to talk about motivation for mission. Motivation for mission. The second slide, we are going to talk about the same motivation for mission. I'm introducing myself as the Vice Chancellor, Academician, Senior Professor, Dr. Chap in General, Eworia, Usiholo, Charles. Motivation for mission. Appreciating every one of you listening. And we're going to say our open prayer. Prayer for humility. Oh Father, give us the humility which realizes its ignorance, admits its mistakes, recognizes its needs, welcome advice, accept rebuke. Help us always to praise rather than to criticize, to sympathize rather than to discourage, to build rather than to destroy, to think of people at their best rather than at their worst. This we ask for the name's sake. Amen. We are going to talk about learning outcomes. What are the outcomes we are expecting from this motivation for mission? We are going to diagnose mission performance problem. Diagnose mission performance problem. That will be part one. Part two will be enhance the mission related ability of others. Part three will be foster a motivating mission environment. These are the three things we are going to learn. Then we end everything. We'll go to the next slide. I will appreciate every one of us to take down notes. As you all know, I'm the facilitator of this program. As that's my name, as rightly said earlier, Academician Senior Professor, Chap in General, Eworia Usiholo, Charles, PhD. I have an experience of more than 30 years experience as a professor of education, of physiology, a lot. But I need to thank God for the opportunity. I'm not the one that acquired, but God acquired it for me, and I appreciate God for that. I also like to see on the chat box your experience and your education, so that we'll be able to relate with one another. What are the, we are going to look at the skills diagnostic survey for motivating others. Step one, take note of all these. They are very important to help us as we are moving on. Step one, respond to the following statement by writing a number from the rating scale that follows in the left-hand column to your assignment. Your answer should reflect your attitude and behavior as they are now, not as you would like them to be. Be honest. This instrument is designed to help you discover your level of competence in motivating others, so you can tailor your learning to your specific needs. And step two, at the end of the course and at other interval, after putting what you have learned into practice, cover up your first set of answers, then respond to the same statement again. This time is the right-hand column, which we call post-assignment. There are ratings. You need to rate yourself. 1, you rate yourself as 1 if you strongly disagree with any statement being seen. And also, you rate yourself rate 2 if you disagree. You also rate yourself slightly disagree as rate 3, while as rate 4, slightly agree. Rate yourself rate 5 if actually you agree, and rate 6, you strongly agree. Here are the questions. 3, the first one, first time, as we are about starting now, you rate yourself now. After we must have finished, you go and rate yourself again. That is post. The first question says, in when another person needs to be motivated. 1, I appreciate a performance problem by first establishing whether it is caused by a lack of motivation or ability. To score yourself there, you can put on the chart. 2, I establish a clear standard of expected performance. You rate yourself also. 3, I offer to provide training and information without offering to do tasks myself. 4, I am honest and straightforward in providing feedback on performance and assessing advancement opportunity. Rate yourself, put it on the chat box. 5, I use a variety of rewards to reinforce exceptional performance. Number 6, when discipline is required, I give specific suggestions for improvement. Number 7, I design task assignments to make them interesting and challenging. Assessment 8, I provide the reward that each person values. Assessment 9, I make sure that people feel fairly and equitably treated. 10, I make sure that people get timely feedbacks from those affected by task performance. 11, I carefully diagnose the causes of poor performance before taking any remedial or disciplinary action. 12, I make people establish performance goals that are challenging, specific, and time-bound. You score yourself there. 13, only as a last resort do I attempt to reassign or release a poorly performed individual. 14, whenever possible, I make sure valued rewards are linked to high performance. 15, I discipline when effort is below expectations and below capability. 16, I combine or rotate assignments so that people can use a variety of skills. Assessment 17, I arrange for an individual to work with others in a team for the mutual support of all. You score yourself there. Be truthful this time around. 18, I make sure that people use realistic standards for measuring fairness. 19, I provide immediate compliments and other forms of recognition for meaningful accomplishments. You score yourself there. 20, I determine if a person has the necessary resources and support to succeed in a task. Have you been able to score yourself? We have finished that 20 assessments. They are very important. So we are going to the next stage of scoring keys and comparison data. You've taken note of what you scored. You've taken note of what each assessment states. Here now, you are going to look at that we have about 7 skill area. What are the 7 skill areas? We have diagnosing performance problem. We have establishing expectation and setting goals. We have facilitating performance, which is enhancing ability. We have the linking performance to reward and discipline. We also have the using select internal and external incentive skill. We have distributing reward equitably skills. We have providing timely and straightforward performance and feedback. So let us look at this providing timely and straightforward performance feedback. We can get that one, by the time we go back, we can get that one from 4. I am honest and straightforward in providing feedback on performance and assessing advancement opportunity. We also go to 19. I provide immediate compliments and other form of recognition for meaningful accomplishment. We go to 10 also, we look at 10 too. That shows that person has that skill. I make sure that people get timely feedback from those affected by task performance. Look at that. That means that person has that skill. So when we look at the skill area of a facilitating performance, which is enhancing ability, we look at number 3. Number 3 says, I offer to provide training and information without offering to do tasks myself. Look at that. That means you have a facilitating performance skill. Okay, we also look at 20. Look at 20. I determine if a person has the necessary resources and support to succeed in a task. That is, you have that skill. Out of the 20 assessments, we can see that seven skills are derived. And these 7 skills are diagnosing performance problem, establishing expectation and setting goals, facilitating performance, which is enhancing ability, linking performance to reward. Okay, let us look at linking performance to reward. We can see 5, 6, 14, and 15. Let us look at 5. I use a variety of rewards to reinforce exceptional performance. Look at that. Let us look at 6. When discipline is required, yes. Number 6, when discipline is required, what happens? When discipline is required, I give specific suggestions for improvement. That shows you have that skill of facilitating, of linking performance to reward and discipline. Let us also look at 15 and 14. 14 says, whenever possible, I make sure value, reward, and link to high performance. And 16, what again? And 15 is telling us, I discipline when effort is below expectation and below capability. Look at that. That shows that that person has that skill. This assessment is very necessary because it's going to justify the means at the end of the period after finishing the program. So it is worth knowing, and so that we'll be able to flow with it. So let us move to, having assessed this, let us now look at the other one, which is scoring skill and comparison data, diagnosing poor performance, enhancing motivation. Yes, in that area now, there are certain things you need to look at, which will be so useful and helpful. Very useful and helpful. I will look at that area of we look at diagnosing performance problem, which is level 1 and 11. 1 and 11. Yes. Expectation program, which is 1 and 11, as I already said. So we look at the area of work performance assessment, work performance assessment. 2. I haven't earlier looked at the area of diagnosing survey for motivating skill. Now we want to look at work performance as per the work we do. We want to assess that work. So there are certain keys we need to know. Rating we need to look at also. Respond to the following statement based on your current or recent work situation. Turn to the scoring key as shown in the next slide. Okay, we have the rating. 1, strong disagreement. 2, disagree. 3, neutral. You are being neutral. 4, you agree. And 5, strongly agree. So we look at number one now. One, my supervisor and I agree on quality of my performance. There's an agreement. You agree. If you agree, you say 4. You score yourself 4. If you didn't agree, you say you didn't agree by saying it depends on the agreement. Is it strongly disagree or disagree? 1 or 2. Okay. You look at the other one, number 2. I feel I have adequate training to perform my current job assessment. I feel I have adequate training to perform what? My current job assessment. Number 3, I believe that my native skill and ability are matched very well with my job responsibility. Number 4, I believe that I have adequately resources and supplies to do my job well. Number 5, I understand my boss' expectations and generally feel they are realistic. 6, I believe that rewards are distributed fairly in the basis of performance. 7, the reward and opportunity available to me if I perform well are attractive to me personally. Look at that area too. 8, my supervisor indicate that I am not performing as well as I should, but I disagree. You score yourself. 9, I could do a much better job if I had more training. 10, I believe that my job is too difficult for my ability level. 11, I believe my job performance is hindered by a lack of supplies and resources. 12, I believe my boss' expectations are unclear and unrealistic. 13, I believe my boss plays favorites in allocating rewards. 14, I do not find the reward and opportunity available to high performance very appealing. You now I will look at that 14. The other one, we look at the 19. It was 19 we look at, but this time we're going to look at the 7, the 14 keys. And the 14 keys are based on the scoring goals. We're going to look at the scoring goals and see what is scored there. Move to the other slide. The scoring goal. This is scoring goal. You look at step 1. Enter your score from each line below as follows. As per the survey we had, record the regular scoring. Enter the number of your response on the survey. While reverse scoring, subtract the number of your response from 6. Subtract it from 6 and enter the results. Look at that. So when you look at from 1 to 7, it shows from 1 to 7. Now, when you look at from 1 to 7 from the 14th list, you see, number 1 is saying my supervisor and I agree to the quality of my performance. Whatever you score there, you state it here. You put it here. For reverse, you put the number there. As far as you are doing reverse, you minus it from 6. From reverse, you minus it from 6. You minus 6 away from whatever you score. You put the answer there. The same with 2. I feel I have adequate training to perform my current job assessment. Whatever thing you score there, minus it from what? From 6. Number 3 also said, I believe that my native skill and ability are matched very well with my job responsibility. You minus it from 6. So let us look at the regular. What are the regular? Look at number 8. My supervisor might indicate that I am not performing as well as I should, but I disagree. Whatever thing you score from this scoring, whether 1, 2, 3, whether you disagree, whatever, you now put the statement there, put it there. Now, step 2 is saying, combine your scores according to the type of performance problem. Problem with scores higher than 7 are obstacles of high performance. Total score over 50 suggests significant broad-based motivational deficiency. Look at that. Haven't scored yourself, haven't looked at that area. Because of time factor, I don't need to stress on it much because I have a limited time. So we go to the next slide. The same work performance, give us the same 14. We can now see, you can derive some of the problems. And here we have about Here we have about the problems we have here. They are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have about 7 problems here, type of problem, about 7. We have a perception problem. We have training problem, attitude problem, resource problem, expectation problem, incentive problem, and reward sellers problem. These are the problems we have from the work performance we just did now. So we're going to score ourselves from from the scores we had. We paste it here and we score ourselves and see what we get. The total, we're going to look at the main score, which is 29.94. We look at the top quadrant, we look at 36 and above. The same thing second, 30.35. While the third quadrant, we look at 24.29. While the bottom quadrant, we look at 23 or below from the scores. So we move to the other area, that is work performance problem. So which one is this one? This one is practical assessment. We're going to assess it practically. This one, maybe after we must have finished, we look at this area, practical assessment. What do I mean by this practical assessment? For reshaping unacceptable behavior. Unacceptable behavior. One, you look at the reprimand. By the time we move on, you see where we get reprimand. Just take note that in reprimand, you look at the area of identify the specific inappropriate behavior. Give example. Indicate that the action must stop. When you are reprimanding, these are the things you need to look at. And point 2, number 2 of reprimand is point out the impact of the problem on the performance of others, the unit mission, and so forth. 3, reprimand. Ask questions about causes and explore remedies. There's another area, you look at the area of redirect. By the time we get to the main issue, we will know what we mean by the word redirect being used, but I'm only bringing it so that we take note of what we are going to look at. In reprimanding, there are some questions you need to ask the person must have done before redirecting that person. 1, describe the behavior and standard expected. You describe it before you can tell the person, what you are doing is contrary to what you're supposed to do. Make sure that the individual understands and agree that these are reasonable. So when you are discussing with him, make sure he agree, not that you go and penalize somebody without agreeing, without knowing what you have done, what the job is all about, what it entails. You now try to know it is wrong. And in the writing again, ask if the individual should comply. Ask the person, are you going to comply with what I'm telling you now? If you say yeah, no problem. But if you said no, you know what to do. It's also there too. You also, number 6 also talks about was appropriately supportive. For example, praise other aspects of the person's work, identify personal and group benefits of compliance, and make sure we are no legitimate obstacle in accomplishing the task, in meeting the expected goals. You take note of all those areas. There's no obstacles, because it is when there's obstacle, the person will tell, you never told me, I'm not aware. But when you are able to let the person know, I'm telling you, the person will wake up and do the work very well. You will also look at the area of reinforcing. What are the questions you look at in reinforcing? Is identify reward that we are silent to the individual. You also look at the link the attainment of desirable outcomes with incremental continual improvement before you can reinforce. In reinforcing also, you also reward too, including using praise, all improvement in performance in a timely and honest manner. These are the things you look at. So having looked at this, we go to the next slide, which is scoring of the diagnostic survey, which we have just done. We have done it now. All those things have been explaining. That is something. The main topic we want to face it now. But if we are able to understand that aspect of survey, which we did, I am telling you, you don't need to listen again. You are already covered. But because of empathy, we want for those who are not moved, who are not carried along or who are not followed, we're going to move forward so as to get it in a clear picture. You may not understand what I said earlier, but those who are fast will be able to understand. So, how good are your competence in meeting the motivation needs of others? Question is being asked there. How good? Your competence, how good are you in meeting? We look at number 2. What is your current work performance assessment? Write it on the chat box. What are your words? Current work performance assessment. 3. What are your strengths? What are your area of weakness? Write it on the chat box. And what is motivation? Write it on the chat box. By the time you do that, you need to have a clear picture. Why we say write on the back so that you can follow. Those who are fast to follow, no problem. But it's always good to write so that we make some comparison. We go to slide 17. According to Philip Jackson, after winning his seventh NBA title as a coach, he said, I don't motivate my players. You cannot motivate someone. All you can do is to provide a motivating environment. Look at that, a motivating environment. And the players will motivate themselves. You can only motivate yourself. Nobody can motivate you. Whoever wants to lie, you cannot have that motivation. It is you. You must do it yourself. What we need to do is to provide the environment. Thank God for IIU. The environment is being provided so that people can explore, do the needful. So tell me, why won't you be motivated? So write on the chat box, what is the formula for performance? Write it on the chat box. Having seen that, we now move to the slide 18. Slide 18 is telling us the formula for performance. The formula for performance. What is the formulas? Ability, motivation is equals to performance. Ability. When we talk of ability, we're going to know, because to put on what your idea about ability, you can put on the chat box. And motivation is all about effort. When you look at the ability and your effort, which is motivation, is equals to what? Performance. What is the formula for ability? Aptitude, your fitness, your suitability, your natural ability, times your training, the training you receive, and the resources provided is equals to ability. When you talk about the formula for motivation, you look at your desire to have a doctorate. And what are your commitments? What do you commit? How have you been paying so that you'll be able to do your doctorate? Is it by mouth? Or you don't desire, I desire. You are not committed. You are not even showing example, putting some skill, making some savings, or making some contributions, to make something, so that you can be able to. Then that shows you don't want to motivate yourself. You need to do something. That is why we are here today, to let people know the means, why what you desire, you need to accomplish, put it with commitment so that you can get what you need. It's not on the platter of gold. You must work towards it before you are able to. The same thing with anything you are doing in life. If you don't work towards it, if you're not committed in what you desire, you won't get anywhere. So let us look at slide 19. Slide 19 is telling us about the diagnosing poor performance. We want to diagnose poor performance. We earlier did a survey on performance, just like I said earlier. We have done that area. Those who understood, no problem, they will understand me better. But those who don't understand, don't worry, you will understand. That is why I'm here now. On diagnosing poor performance. That is where the next slide we are going. For this slide we are talking about diagnosing poor performance, which will take us to a question which we ask ourselves. How difficult are the tasks? How difficult are the tasks? Just like all these assessments we did, the survey, everything. How difficult are they? 1, put it on the chat board. How capable is the individual? How capable is the individual? 2, how hard is the individual trying to succeed at the job? And how much improvement is the individual making? How much improvement? These are the things you must look at. Why you are not making an effort, it's always a problem. That's why we say how, where, what, when, question, why, which, is it. These are the questions being asked in the area of diagnostic for performance. We're going to put on the chat box for clarification, whatever thing you want, just put it there. We are going to slide 21. In slide 21, we are going to do an exercise. What are the exercises we are going to do? What aspect of volunteering in your group, organization, mission, task do you believe are motivating to members? What are those things you believe that are motivating to members? All these things must be taken into consideration. Right in the chat box. What aspect do you believe are demotivating? What aspect do you believe that are demotivating organization? What those to move, to work properly, put it there. And those things that are making members to be happy, doing the job well, write it on the chat box. We shall look at it together and come out with a good result. But meanwhile, we're going to tell us if this training has accomplished your expectation. We also know at the end of the program. Slide 22. Slide 22. Looking at the organization guidelines that we have to create a safe environment. Since we are after a safe environment, not just giving you everything. No, you have to work all those things in that safe environment. We are going to look at the hierarchy of needs. The hierarchy of needs. What do we mean by the hierarchy of needs? Like that of Maslow needs, we know we have some area. We look at it starts from the lower, and in the lower area there are so many people there. They need that. As more you go higher, you see less people be there. You move on it. But the initial one are the people, are what everybody needs. Look at that psychological area. Look at that needs. What are the psychological needs we need? We look at food. We look at air, the breathing. We look at water. We look at sleep. These are things that are psychological that we actually need. And everybody needs it. Nobody, whether the rich or whether poor, we need it. We also move now to safety. Safety, everybody also needs security, stability, and peace. We need stability, we need peace. That is safety need. Let us go to, look, it move up hierarchy. It goes, we go to social needs. Acceptance, we need to be accepted. Anywhere we are, we want acceptance. Affection, we want people to help like us, to like us. Belonging, want to belong, and want to be friendship anywhere we are. Social, that's the essence of socialization, in all those areas. We now move, after the safety need, we move to the other need, which is what? Social needs. What are the social needs? We look at acceptance. We look at affliction, which we've said that one. We move after the social need, we go to the esteem need. What are the esteem needs? We look at the achievement. We want to achieve this achievement. Look at confidence. We look at self-respect. Everybody needs it. But it depends on who you are that determines. It is what you do to people, people do back to you, you earn the respect. You don't, respect is not given, it's being earned by your attitude, your behavior. And also we look at the recognition, to recognize, to be recognized. Yes, esteem needs. So we go to the top level, which is the self-actualization needs. That is your personal development and your total self-fulfillment. The total self-fulfillment. These are very, very important. We go to the next slide, which is slide 23. Slide 23. It talks about motivation, just like we already said, is efforts. The effort you put in times ability is equal to performance. Both goes hand in hand to result to performance. Motivation and ability must come. You don't, nobody can motivate you, it is you to motivate yourself. Ability, it is your own, whatever you put in, that strength you put in, which is your aptitude, as in your stability, your fitness to that particular job you are giving, times your training you receive, just like we are receiving training, times the resources provided gives you ability. We go to slide 24. Slide 24. Now, so we are making your people apostles of peace. We need peace in any organization whereby there is confusion, the organization will not grow. Every one of us must be an apostle of peace. And to be an apostle of peace, you must do some sacrifice. It is necessary. We must do. This can be demonstrated in 4 areas. To be an apostle can be demonstrated in 4 areas. What are the areas? The first one you can see from the diagram talks about when you are tied, when you tie people's hands with rope, it means you are holding such person hostage. You tie their hand with rope, you are holding them hostage. Hostages get things done, but not satisfied. So the person has has no option to go out from that area. He has no option. You have hold the person hostage. Look at that. Like we go to the other one, which is terrorists. They destroy things. They are not satisfied. And they don't want to stay. Their aim is to come and destroy. We look at the disloyal mercenaries. These are people who are satisfied. They are satisfied, but they are not loyal. We look at the apostles of peace. What are the people? These people are devotees. They have a mission. They have a mission. Everybody, a reasonable person who is a peace ambassador or an apostle of peace must have a mission. We are created to have a mission, not to just come and waste ourselves, because we are going to give account of our stewardship. We must have a mission. They have a mission. They have a sense of commitment. There must be a commitment before you become an apostle of peace. Commitment must be there. That is what this diagram is trying to tell us. So we go to slide 25. Slide 25. 25 is diagnosing work performance problem. We saw the problem we saw the other time when we are making survey. We saw those problems. Now we want to diagnose those problems now. Now, I hope we still remember the work performance survey we did earlier. And the formula for ability. What is the formula for ability? Aptitude times training times resources gives us what? Ability. So let's take note of the following problems. What are the problems? We have the perception problem, we have the resources problem, we have the training problem, we have the aptitude problem, we have the expectation problem, we have the incentive problem, we have the silence problem. What do I mean by perception problem? Do you agree your work is below expectation? Do you agree your work is below expectation? That's the perception problem. The resources problem. Do you have the resources to do the work well? E.g., material, personnel, time, cooperation from others. We also have the training problem. What is the training problem? It's a lack of training affecting your work performance. Lack of training. We have the aptitude problem. Do you feel this is the right job, blend of job assessment for you? Write all this on the chat box so we discuss it together. We also have expectation problems, which is the last slide, slide 26. Expectation problem. What are these? What are your performance expectations for this position? What do you think that managers are? What do you think that managers are? We also look at the incentive problems. What are the incentive problems? Do you believe rewards are linked to your performance in this position? Right on the chat box. We have the salience problem, which are the performance incentive attractive to you. Right on the chat box. We go to slide 27. Slide 27, for 10 minutes, let's do the following exercise. Put it in the chat box. What are the one? Focus on some aspect of your work in which you feel your performance is below your or others' expectation. Focus on some aspect of your job, of your work, in which you feel your performance is below your or others' expectation. 2, identify the specific obstacle to improve performance. Write it on the chat box. 3, formulate a plan for overcoming this obstacle, including getting commitment from others. We just ended part 1 of the motivational of the motivation for mission. As I said earlier, we have part 3. We just ended the part 1. I haven't assessed this. So we start part 2 now. Let us look at 29, slide 29. Talks about what? Enhancing work. That's the mission. Related abilities of others. If you have any questions, put it on the chat box. If you have any discussion, any adjustment on the chat box. Slide 29. We'll go to slide 29. These are it talks about the tools for improving ability. Can we still remember what ability is all about? Abilities, aptitude, that's your fitness or your suitability or your natural ability times your training times your resources. That's ability. Now I want to see, how do we improve this ability? There are 5 areas of improving ability. What are the areas? 1, we have resupply, we have retrain, we have refit, we have reassign, and we have release. So we're going to treat each one of them what they actually mean. We'll go to slide 30. Slide 30 tells us the supply. This is the support need of the job. The support need of the job, so that the job can be done. There are things that is surrounding the job. What are those things? The personnel, yes, the people, the budget, as the money, the political action from the government, and time. These are what we call as the support needs for the job. Always listen and explore the individual claims in details to determine their validity. That is to say, we need to be open to whatever thing we are experiencing when we are given a particular work to do. We listen to people doing it, saying it. People are there to tell you 1 or 2 things. Don't be confused, don't be carried away. You need to look at the detail very well, listen to it, and validate it too. Not to just accept before you know the person just wants to make more entry of you. There are some people, they want to test your ability. They will tell you what is not. So you must use your brain to make sure that you are able to listen and explore those claims and be open. And be open-minded. Even if you feel they are exaggerating. If you feel they are exaggerating, be open-minded. That is supply. We'll go to the other area, which is slide 31, tells us about the retrain. Retrain. What do we mean by retrain? Why should we retrain? Write it on the chat box. Why should we retrain? Why? Because 1, the changing technology. Things are changing. A little boy today is no more a boy. It's not a man. It's not a little girl today. It's not more a girl. It's a lady. Then it becomes a woman. There are changes. Technology. Why should we retrain? 2, new skills required for new tasks. Every day there are a lot of things you need to update yourself. Some people who doesn't believe in learning. Sorry for you. You are an outdated person. You are an ancient person. We don't need to be ancient. We need to always be an elderly statesman. We need to be refreshed all the time. That is, learning is necessary. Number 3, inadequate skill for old tasks. Inadequate skill. Because the skill we have for old tasks, we keep on doing the same thing all the time. You don't need to keep on doing. You need to move up. Upgrade. We'll go to the next slide, 32. Refit. What do we mean by this? Same position, but adjustment made to the task. If the person is not working as expected, you put the person where he's supposed to go to work very well. Example, reassign aspects of the job to others to free the person all for other aspects of his or her job. Look at that. That's the refitting. If it's not so good in that area, refitting similar area and see, reassigning, give him a new job and see. You don't know, start somebody like that. There are certain things, like I said, improving ability. There are 5 steps. We are in the refit area. So we look at slide 33. Reassign. What do we mean by reassign? Unless there is overwhelming evidence of a lack of attitude, that is the fitness. Always explore the first 3 options. What are the first three options? As I already said, supply, retrain, and refit. Before this can happen, reassign. So a new position within the organization, reassign that person to a new position. Maybe it's not silent. I have a lot of histories, my experience. Somebody you put here is not doing well. It's always, the production is always very reduced. But when you now took into another area, it becomes, the person became the first person beating even the MD production. Beating. Look at that. And when he was in the other department, he was bringing very small, so they said they want to sack him until we now say, no, don't sack him, but give him another position. The same person became number one in the organization. Look at that. As if they sack him, the organization would have not be the way the organization should be. That is why you don't sack people unnecessarily. All these things must be given into consideration, taken into consideration before you do that. So we'll go to the next slide, which is slide release. Yes, release is about employee termination, which is as a last option. I will look at the 4 options before you can do this other area. We go to the next one, slide 35. Slide 35 is all about group work. We call it Shade's Sambo. It's a group work which about people go into a group, we now analyze this. There's an exercise, same as what I've discussed so far, to see if the person actually follow. But this period will not make it possible because of the limited time. It's about read the case together, then break up into groups for analysis and recommendation how to improve Shade's work-related activities. So we'll go to the next slide. We have ended part 2. So we are now going to part 3. It's part 3 we are going to now. The last part we are going to now. The last part is fostering a motivating mission environment. What do we mean by this? It talks about the following. What aspect of your organization mission environment do you find motivating? Write it on the chat box. What aspect do you find demotivating? What aspect of your organization mission environment do you find motivating? Write it on the chat box. What aspect do you find demotivating? We'll go to the next one. Management styles. Management styles. In management style, we have 2 theories, theory X and theory Y. Theory X is all about employees are seen as lazy. When we say theory X in management, we look at those people, they are so lazy. The members there, the employees, they are lazy. But in theory Y, the employee want to do a good job. They want to do what? A good job. I hope we have such people in the organization. God will help us. We'll go to the next slide, slide 39. Slide 39, yes. It talks about relationship between satisfaction and performance. The relationship between satisfaction and performance. When satisfaction is high and the performance is low, it is called indulging in management. When satisfaction is low and the performance is low, it is called ignoring such people in management, as if they never exist. When satisfaction is high and the performance is high, it is called integrating in management. When satisfaction is low and the performance is high, it is called imposing in management. Which style are you operating? Right on the chat box. We'll go to slide 40. Slide 40. Now explain what we mean by imposing, indulging, ignoring, integrating. Indulging focus on satisfaction rather than performance. It focuses on what? Satisfaction rather than performance. Imposing focus on performance rather than satisfaction. Ignoring focus on neither performance nor satisfaction. Integrating focus equally on performance and satisfaction. Which one do you like among these? Integrating, ignoring, imposing, indulging. Speak on the chat box. Let us now go to slide 42. slide 42. It talks about self-assessment. Which is your dominant style? Which is your own? Write it on the chat box. Which is your own? We go to slide 42. 42 talks about the old view of motivation. Those days, what we look at, what do we mean by motivation those days? Those days, old view about motivation, satisfaction, motivation equals to performance. Satisfaction, motivation to performance. You satisfy the person, you motivate the person, the performance will come. That is old style, not now. When you are satisfied, you are motivated. And when you are motivated, you will perform. This is old style way of motivation. There's a new one, new style. We're going to look at it too. Let us go to slide 43. Slide 43 tells us the new view of motivation. Says motivation, performance, outcomes, and satisfaction. Not performance, you just go to satisfaction. No, there must be outcome. That is different. Outcome makes the difference between the old and the new. What do I mean? When you are motivated, you can perform, and your performance brings your outcome. Your performance brings your outcome. Finally, your outcome makes you to be satisfied somebody. Your outcome, not just performance. Not that you have decisions. No, your outcome. What have you been able to do as in empowering others? Not just yourself. You be the champion. No, we don't look at that. We also look at the outcome. You must have people you are also empowering. If you are not empowering people, you are the only one working. You are the one doing it. Then the outcome is not there. You must move with a group, a team. You must have a team. One person cannot be a team. That means you are not training. Tomorrow, if you are not there, what happens? The company will collapse, or the organization will collapse. You must empower people. So let us look at slide 44. We talk of motivation and performance. Motivation begins with what? Establishing moderately difficult goals that are understood and accepted. I repeat again. Motivation begins with establishing moderately difficult goals that are understood and accepted. Look at that. Difficult goals, you look at it very well. That is what you are going to look at, the difficult one. You try to make it, to simplify it, to make it to be acceptable and understood by people. Go to slide 43, 45. Goal setting. Excuse me. Goal setting. When we look at the area of goal setting, we are saying, what are the characteristics of good goal? When we say something is good goal, what do we actually mean? There are some characteristics we need to look at. What are the characteristics? One, we look at this specific. We look at consistent with others. Being specific, they must be consistent with others. And also, we're going to look at the appropriately challenging. We're going to look at provide feedback. These are the 4 things that we see in a good goal. Write on the chat box your own idea about a good goal. This is my own idea. I don't know if it's acceptable. It is when you prove. Write it there. I will now know. Let us go to slide 46. Slide 46 talk about motivation and performance. Motivation and performance. What do I mean? After setting a goal, what should manager do? You don't just set a goal. You must do something. What do? They should remove obstacles to performance. Yes. Those things that will disturb that performance, that result to come, you must remove it by breaking it down and making it to be clear to people. If something is not clear to people, they cannot perform, they cannot do anything. You must break it down so that they can deliver. People like easy things, they don't want difficult things. That difficult things, you break it down. How do they remove obstacles? Can they write on the chat box? How do they remove obstacles as a manager? When a task is given, you just give them that task. No, you come and break it down to remove any obstacle that will say, this is too much. Because nobody will do it. Whereas it's so simple because they don't understand it very well. We go to slide 47. Slide reflection. What do we mean? What are the current obstacles to your performance? What are the current obstacles to your performance? What can you do to remove them? What can you do? You reflect on it. What can you do to remove them? We go to slide 48. Slide 48. We talk about part goal theory. Part goal theory. What do we mean? This is all about organizational structure and system, task characteristics, subordinate expectation, subordinate performance and satisfaction, and leaders' involvement. How? In the subordinate expectation, how much help do they want? In the task characteristics, how much help is needed? In the leaders' involvement, how much help should they provide? In the organizational structure and system, how much help is already available? All this will determine the subordinate performance and satisfaction. That is the explanation of what I've given now. I can still repeat. Pattern goal theory. This is all about organizational structure and system, task characteristics, subordinate expectation, subordinate performance and satisfaction, and leaders' involvement. How? In the subordinate expectation, how much help do they want? In the task characteristics, how much help is needed? In the leaders' involvement, how much help should they provide? In the organizational structure and system, how much help is already available? All this will determine the subordinate performance and satisfaction. Go to the next one, slide 49. Talks about performance and outcome. In determining performance and outcome, rewards and discipline are used. In determining performance and outcome, rewards and discipline are used. To do what? To encourage good exceptional behavior. That is reward. Extinguish unacceptable behavior. That is discipline.